Whether you're thinking about quitting your job, starting a side hustle, or just curious about the realities of being your own boss, this podcast explores the possibilities of being unemployed for a living. Welcome back to another episode of Unemployed for a Living. I'm Ken. That's Corey over there. What's up, Corey?
Another great week. I'm excited about this episode. I really am.
Yes, I am too. We've been exploring different side hustle opportunities. A few episodes back, we did the side hustle finder tool that you can go and kind of use AI to maybe fine tune a side hustle idea that you thought, or pick something that works. Yeah, find one. Exactly. And we're in the middle of the 30-day challenge right now. Make 100, see if you can do something, start up something, do any sort of like little side hustle thing to make $100 in 30 days. Had a lot of really great response on that so far. And hopefully you guys are doing that. And if you are, leave comments down here in this episode. Last week, we talked about, just kind of touched over a few different side hustle ideas and ways that you might want to get started. And we thought we'd go into something now where we're kind of deep diving into
we want to get out of the theory side
hustle. Yeah,
into the more practical.
Exactly. And get to take an idea, take a business opportunity, a side hustle opportunity, and kind of review it and deep dive, see what can, how you could get started doing that. And
kind of do what Ken does in his head for every side hustle and just flesh it out from start to finish. But we're going to do it in an hour.
Yes. And yeah, exactly. Well, it takes me like weeks to flesh something out.
I like the concept of this episode, because if the episode goes well, and it may totally fall flat, we don't know, because it's the first one of this kind we've done. I love the concept of the episode, because by the time we're done in a 1 hour period, if you watch the whole video, you should be able to take the side hustle we're going to talk about. And if it's interesting and intriguing to you, you should be able to wake up tomorrow morning and start this one. Like actually go do it.
That would be the goal. And it's an interesting one. When Corey first came to me and said, man, I learned all about this topic or this side hustle. I was like, what? That's what we're going to talk about. But it's interesting. When I started to do research on it, I was like, well, that's amazing. The potential
that was kind of the
in
point.
it.
I wanted to find something that I knew neither of us had any experience in at all.
Yes, exactly.
So that we could look at it strictly from a business standpoint without worrying about any preconceived notions about it.
Exactly.
And I think we accomplished that.
I can agree that I have very little to zero experience. Some, but not as a side hustle.
May have stepped in a little experience, huh?
Yeah.
One might say. That joke will land later.
Yes, it will. So we, as we started to talk about how we would do these little deep dive things, we put together like a little bit of criteria that we thought might, just kind of guidelines that we would look so that we could answer the questions that you might have about the business. What's a difficulty level? What is, what's a startup? Do you need money to start up? What experience level do you need? What sort of an equipment might you need? Is it a seasonal job? Things of that nature. And we kind of went down through those, and that's kind of how we're going to go in this sort of a format.
Surprised me. Like the answers to some of these surprised me, because I wouldn't have guessed it.
Yes, exactly. And so Corey, would you like to introduce what business we're talking about today?
Oh, gladly. See, first I would like to say that a lot of podcasts get away with talking about a lot of stuff. And I really just wanted to see if we could spend 1 hour talking about dog poop and get away with it. So our topic today is pet waste removal. And we're going to spend the next hour talking about dog poop.
Pet waste removal sounds much more professional than we're going to talk about dog poop for an hour.
Yeah. What do you call the employees, you think? Turd technicians?
Yeah, I'm a professional.
I'll be here all night, folks.
Unfortunately, he'll be here. We're pet waste removal.
As glamorous as that sounds.
It's like a thing. I was amazed at the amount of information that is out there that on just this topic.
There are YouTube influencers in this space.
There are
like big
thousands
channels.
of views. Yes. Companies telling you, how they're doing it, how things to look out for. And that's kind of stuff that we're gonna pass along from our research from, again, not having any experience in this. And just showing. And what I will say is it was actually very little research time in this one to really get the gist of
It's a very
what it is and
simplistic
what you need.
business.
Yes, very
Yeah,
much so.
I mean, you're scooping turds with a shovel and a rake.
That's
That's the job.
so,
Like, it's very
the
simple business.
difficulty level is what
Nil.
very low. Yeah, zero. There's not a whole lot. And
What kind of
experience,
degree do you have to do this, do you think?
man,
Fourth grade?
some sort of
Fifth grade?
yeah, there's not you don't need higher education to do this process. So, experience, I guess, going along with that difficulty level, and the experience is very little experience,
Now,
if any at all.
we do chuckle, and we'll probably make more poop jokes as the night goes on
Oh,
about
yeah.
this. But from a business setting, like, we both have quite a bit of business experience, so
Yeah.
we can talk about it from a business level, and it is as funny and joking around because we're immature. It is a very intriguing business to me. Like, I almost went out and tried to just do $100 doing it,
Yeah.
just for the 30-day challenge, so I could lap you again.
Yeah.
And like, I
For the
almost just
third
went and did
time.
it because it's that simple to do.
Yes. And I was surprised at because at first you're thinking, who's going to pay for this service? Who's going to, come and pick up the dogs? But it can be very, very
People with dogs.
lucrative. Like, we're talking 6 figures, 7 figures
Seven
in
figures.
certain case, as a business grows. But but it's also, you need a few extra bucks to, it's easy car payment money. It's easy, electric bill. You need to pay the grocery. You need to buy some eggs. Go scoop a couple of lawns, and there's a dozen eggs right there, or
Yeah,
several dozen.
well,
Actually,
there's some pretty nice mortgage money in this and BMW money in this,
Yeah.
if you decide to scale it. But
yes,
at difficulty level, I would say is very, very minimal. Like, you don't have to have any special skills.
yeah,
I think you can jump into this no matter what, no matter who you are. And there is one thing about this business that I find kind of follows the trend I'm seeing in the business world, and that is everybody wants to be a TikTok star nowadays. Everybody wants to sit in their bedroom and dance in pajamas
Yeah.
and make a fortune. Service businesses are where people are getting rich right now. If you're
Yes.
willing to get off the couch and leave the house, you can make some
Yeah.
serious money. And this falls in that category. And after some research, it seems like it.
Yes.
I mean, it holds water.
Well, because everybody that's in the house making their TikTok videos, or even worse, just sitting on the phone scrolling through other people's TikTok videos, they don't want to get
Yeah.
up off the couch, and they just let the dog out the back door, let him do his business. They come in the house, and
Fido's outside walking in his own
Yeah.
shit. They want it gone.
exactly. It's so, overall, I guess the explanation of the business is the pet waste removal. All jokes aside, and the business part of it is going out to neighbors, friends, neighborhoods, cities, counties, and picking up pet waste, helping clean up the yard in that way, and that is a service. That is a service business that
Yep.
people are paying for, and so with that, it's in some of our criteria there, very low startup cost.
Yeah,
in
money-wise,
this
it's
sort of business.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy low. I went out and actually searched for what I would need to start the business based on what I found other professional companies using.
Yeah.
And I think you can get started in the business for under $200 pretty quickly.
Yeah, easily.
So startup costs are very, very minimal. And
And
I'll even, we'll throw the links down below for the stuff you would need to
Yeah.
start the business if you're interested by the end of the video. Everything you need to start the business, we'll throw a link below. It's like 4 things. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
And it is one of those types of businesses that you may already have some of the stuff.
You might have most of it.
You might have, so let's talk. You want to go into the equipment right now, like what one
Sure.
would need to start a pet waste. So essentially, you're going to need like some sort of a rake. You're going to need a rake to scoop up the waste, the poop with.
Yep.
Going to need
And
something
they
to
make
put
those
that
little
in.
poop rakes with
Yeah.
you don't want like a solid steel rake because you don't want to be tearing up yards or just like raking through the poo. They make the
Yeah.
little rakes that are kind of a Y shape, and they have the flexible teeth on them for scooping poop.
Yes.
Get one of those. They're pretty cheap. You want one with a longer handle. You don't want to be bending over all the time. So you want one long enough
Yes.
to do it while standing up.
There's usually the scoop. There's like a big, it's like a dust wastepan
Yeah.
like that you would use if you were cleaning in the house or, like office cleanups, you're sweeping into that. You see them in restaurants a lot where the people, are going around sweeping the lobby up. Just a big dustpan with a
I
handle
did see
along.
I did see a trick on that. I saw one company using them, and it's just that like a big dustpan with a handle on it,
Yeah.
like you were saying, like that, so you could do it while you're standing up and sweep stuff into it. But they got the ones with the removable handle because usually the handle comes up off the bucket and then back.
Yeah.
So you're holding the handle back here and the bucket's in front of you. They took the handle off and turned it around so the handle's kind of pointing over top of the bucket, makes it more ergonomic and easier to move around and
Yes.
rake into.
Very cool. And what I'm seeing is they're just taking trash bags, like your standard kitchen
Yep.
13-gallon trash cans, and they
Yeah, the
put it
kitchen can
in
bags.
the scoop into the dustpan thing. And so they're just raking. So when you're raking it up, it's going right into your trash bag.
Yep.
And really, at its base, you can probably get away with just
Yeah.
that. This a small rake and a scoop. Some I saw like having an extra 5-gallon bucket or something right there, where they were scooping it into something and then dumping it into a bucket. It's
Oh,
like 2 steps then at that point.
I guess there's one more thing that you probably should have. I think we'll probably hit it later in the video though, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm
You know what I'm
thinking
talking
right
about?
now. I know that there's disinfectants.
Yeah.
There's that sort of
So
stuff that
yeah, they make disinfectant, and it's important to have that because dogs, you can spread disease and parasites from one yard to
yeah,
another. So
yes,
they make disinfectant and they put it in one of those little garden pump spray bottles
yeah,
so that every time you're done,
uh,
you can spray your shoes and your bucket and your rake and not move it yard to yard. And those are
yes.
like what, $12-15 at your
Yeah,
local Ace Hardware
well, and almost every yard sale that I go to, yard
has one.
sale,
Yep.
thrift store has one of those little, pump sprayer things that you're spraying for bugs or you're spraying, fertilizer or weed killer or something.
Yep.
Of course, you want to make
That's
sure
it.
that you rinse that out.
You probably
Some
have
other
like
things that I
almost
talk
all of
about.
this at home.
Yes, already. I did see some of the people were just they do sell special disinfectants and stuff, but I saw
Yep.
some people just using your standard like a Lysol spray,
Yep.
disinfectant spray, disinfectant wipes to wipe down the tools, wipe down your shoes, wipe down whatever between each
Before you leave
customer that you would go
the
to.
yard and go to the next, you should be disinfecting. It's kind of
Yeah.
what I saw him doing.
Other optional things, I would probably always have like some rubber gloves, disposable, vinyl or nitrile
Yeah.
or latex gloves or whatever, or, a pair of gloves that you like to wear. Just when you are holding those tools and disinfecting and stuff, you're not gonna,
I like to be one with nature.
you want to get a little bit
We'll
on
free
you.
finger it.
Then Corey's going to go, immediately eat his lunch.
Yep.
Got the sandwich in the truck. That's another thing. There's not special equipment of you don't have whatever vehicle you have right now, as long as it's reliable to get around the route.
To an extent, like I don't want to drive around with that stuff in my car. Like if you'd be better if you had a pickup. I did see somebody doing it with a car, but they had the luggage rack on the back, like the bumper hitch luggage rack
Yes.
for their stuff. So you could do it in just about anything.
Yeah. And so doesn't have to be a special vehicle. But
Nope.
one of the things I did notice is one of the big things is once you would grow into a business like this, lettering, vinyl wrapping their vehicles, we scoop poop, we do, whatever. So it's kind of like a drive around advertisement. If you're working in one neighbor's yard, they're going to see, oh, this truck outside. Oh, you have a dog too. We'd like to have, clean up. But
Yeah, I think that
sort of
serves
marketing stuff
multi-purpose
later on.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that serves multi-purposes, and I think the important thing about that is don't get hung up on trying to be bigger than you are to begin with.
Yes.
I think the
Yeah.
important thing is get started and you'll grow into that. We'll talk about that more later, but I don't
Yeah.
think you have to be just because you see the biggest competitor in town with bright blue wrap trucks. Don't think that you have to have that to start because you absolutely don't.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So the startup monies is very low. You're going to either
Very.
have a lot of the stuff, or
Equipment
again,
is
if you check
common.
out some links, down below, you can kind of investigate some of that pricing of some of the items. But everybody's got a pair of gloves. Everybody's got a little rake
Knowledge
and
wise,
a
I don't
bucket.
think you have to know anything special. I mean, if you want to know basic, put what you earn to what you spend into a spreadsheet at the very least. But
Yeah.
knowledge wise, you don't need anything crazy specialized or anything like that. Be able to send a text. And
Yes.
that's about it.
Yeah, and to advertise, and some of that, we'll talk about here in just a minute.
Yep.
One of the things about this particular job is it's a year round thing. There's not really a particular season because dogs go to the bathroom every day, and
Yeah. But
so if you
it
live
does
in
have
a
some seasonality to the business though. From what I found out,
okay,
there is slow times and fast times in this business, which
okay,
I didn't expect.
and
Because
what are you
you
finding?
would you would think in the summertime would kind of be your peak season and you'd be busy because people are out in their yards, they want them clean.
Yeah,
And what I found out was on average, most people are searching for and paying for services late winter, early spring. That's when they
okay,
want their yard. That's when they're contracting their services. The summer is the deadest time in this business. And
okay.
I wasn't expecting
Yeah, I
that, but
wouldn't have thought
that's
that.
what I've been hearing.
And of course, you and I both live in places that get all four seasons.
Yeah.
Where if you're in southern states or out west where there's not going to be that winter snow and ice and stuff, coming
Yep.
down. Which it is a business that, with any business, if you're going to start and go, this is something that you could do as just a quick weekend
Yeah.
side hustle. Go around if you wanted to make $100, $20, you clean up 5 yards or whatever, and there you go. $100 and you're done. There's no
Yep.
commitments, no anything from there. And that's just kind of like a word of mouth, talking to people, relatives, friends.
Yeah, actually, that bleeds into the next one. Where do you get your first customer if you were to start this business? And
Yes.
that one's almost funny because I'm sitting here doing research on this, and I mentioned it to Teresa, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're ridiculous." And then that same night, she's on Facebook looking in our community groups because we're in
Yeah.
a bunch of our community groups on Facebook, and somebody's literally asking, "Does anyone know anyone in this area that could come clean up the dog poop out of my backyard?" Like that night, we found we could have had a customer. All I would have had to do is say yes.
Which is just crazy. Again, yeah, Teresa saying, you're crazy for researching this stuff. I thought when Corey brought the topic to me or the
Yeah.
business, I'm like, okay, really? We're just goofing this week. But yeah, what are the chances of that? That as
Pretty
you're
good, I
looking at
think.
it, there's somebody on there. So yeah, getting that first customer, of course, talking to friends, talking
Yep.
to relatives, putting it out there on a Facebook community. Most every city, community, township, whatever, has some sort of a community spot
Group.
that
Yep.
whether it's a buying and selling group, whether it's there's just services group. I know in our local community thing, they have sections, and one of them are for services. And you can go there, you can post it there, you could go look and research, are there other people doing this in your area already? When we started to talk about it, I just did a search, pet waste removal in my town,
Yep.
and there's 3 or 4 businesses that are doing it already. Some of them are bigger, high end, like um almost national companies,
Yep.
or huge local firms. But there's a couple that are just local folks that are doing this. And I'm looking at the rates and I'm thinking, people pay that. But yes, they are. These people are doing quite
Yep.
well. um and so yeah, getting that first customer, I think, would be simple.
I think
Checking the
Facebook.
Facebook groups,
I think
checking.
check the Facebook groups, post in your community groups, and tell
Yes.
them you're offering the service. I mean, it could be as easy as just putting a piece of poster board on your back window of your car and drive around town a couple days. Like, I
Yeah.
think the first customer will almost come to you. Again, this is
Yeah.
not, you're not trying to sell a course online. You're not trying to sell a product on Etsy or Amazon. You're providing a service that keeps someone else from having to do something. These
Yes.
are not things that are hard to sell. These type of services sell themselves. So literally just letting people know you do it is,
Yeah.
when they contact
Yeah.
you, you don't have to sell them. They're already sold. They just want to know when you could be there.
Yeah, the word of mouth is a great tool. I was thinking, I don't know if this is part of marketing or if this goes along with that first customer. Some of the things or the ideas I was thinking is going to um, uh, you look if you have like pet groomers or pet stores or whatever. A lot of times they have bulletin boards. They have stuff
Yeah,
like
that's a
that. You
perfect
could talk
idea.
to leave a stack of business cards or put a flyer up on their thing that you do this.
I would give
Or
her a coupon that she can
just
give every customer a receipt with the coupon.
Yeah, exactly. Your local, we have a couple of dog parks around here
Yeah.
that, people take their dogs to play. They got little things they can jump around on, and usually it's the dogs are playing, and all of the people are just sitting around chit chatting and stuff, and just walking up there, hanging out there a few days, and saying, hey, your dog's at home. We do this sort of business.
Take your dog
Handing
to the
out
dog
cards,
park
handing out
when it's
flyers.
busy.
Yeah. Yes.
Take your dog to the dog park when it's busy and just talk to the people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think this is one that you have to be a real, like, you don't have to hustle hard for these customers. I really
Yeah.
think they'll almost come to you. Like, there's literally people in my area right now asking for someone who could come do it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's as
And
simple as letting people know you're available, and you'll have your first couple of customers pretty quick.
and maybe these people they want a one-time thing. You go over
Yep,
there,
you
you
never
make a
know.
few bucks. Or it's one of the things that I see in this a lot too, just from the research, is a lot of people, there's like no contracts or whatever involved. You just set something up to do. It's
Yep.
a weekly schedule, a bi-weekly schedule, could be monthly, could be, and there's different price structures that go to
You can set
that.
them up on a recurring payment. It's just like Netflix. There's no contract. It's just a reoccurring
Yeah.
payment. You can cancel it whenever you want.
Exactly.
Yep.
So very, very simple. I don't know. It's just a very simple setup of a business and to get started
It's
and
one
to
of the
get that
easiest.
first customer.
Yeah, it's one of the easiest business models I've seen. Out
Yes.
of all the different business models you can go to, being a handyman or a knife sharpener or so many other things, there's some skill involved or equipment involved. Like, this is one of the easiest business models. Like, even
Yes.
propagating plants that we talked about that I do myself, this is so much easier than that, because even with
Oh
plants, you
yeah.
got to be able to keep them alive, and there's
Less.
some knowledge involved in it. But this is such a no-brainer of a business, but
Yeah.
so lucrative. Like, well, and that leads into the next category. Is this business viable for someone doing it part-time? Is it viable to do full-time or scale into a larger thing? Let's talk
Yes.
about that a little bit.
Yes, 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 and yes. I mean,
Got it.
as far
Next
as
section.
okay, yeah, let's move on. Time expenditure, it is something that if you were going to start, and it can be, a one-time thing that you're out just doing that, but if you wanted to do it as a business, getting those customers and getting those a route established that you can do, maybe
Yep.
it starts out that one day a week, if you're offering, weekly cleanup for people, one day a week you can go do this, whatever your free day is, whatever your free time
I
is,
think it
you
snowballs
can do
pretty
that.
fast too. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right. And I think it snowballs pretty fast from what I've seen. Now, from everything I've seen and checking the prices in my area and seeing what people are saying they're charging online, it looks like you can average roughly $100 a month per customer if you're getting them to do like the weekly pickups. And the
Yeah.
weekly pickups, by the way, are the cheapest way to do it, because if you're coming out weekly, there's less to pick up, so you don't charge as much. But about $100 a month is what I'm seeing per customer on average.
Yeah.
And once you've done the first cleanup and you're keeping up on it weekly, it seems like it's taking about 10 minutes a yard.
Yeah.
You pull up 10 minutes,
Yeah.
you do the job, you're out. So you could
Yes.
do a lot of these in one day.
That's
So it's just a matter
that's
of building as many, build your client list as big or as small as you want to. If you only want to do 2 jobs a week, take 2 clients.
yeah, exactly. And I was looking at some of the local rates in my area. Um, a one-time, this is a local place to me,
Yeah.
that's owned by local place. It's not a big national business or whatever. And they do a services start at, if just a one-time thing, of $40.
Yeah.
Come in, you need your yard cleaned up real good. You're going to have an event at your house in your yard. You want to clean up. You've let it go for a while. They're going to come in. $40 is the start. But they also offer weekly and bi-weekly services that start at $15 a week. Okay.
Usually for
So
one
you're
dog. If
for one
the more
dog,
dogs you have, the higher it goes. Yep.
the higher it goes. And so that's why the plans start there. And so you're looking at what, like $60 a month, if
For a
you were to
single
do
dog.
a weekly plan for a single dog. Some of those include the plans are like if your dog only goes out in the backyard or whatever, maybe you have a fenced in area or you tie your dog off in the backyard. That's what it would include. If you're doing front yard, backyard, that
Now I did look into
increases the
that,
pricing.
the dog ownership in the country too, and it seems like the average person that owns a dog owns two dogs. The average
Okay.
person has the average dog owner owns two dogs. So on average, you're going to be charging on a two dog basis, which is a
Yeah,
little more expensive. And I think that's probably
exactly.
where the $100 a month comes in.
Yes. And so, $100 a month, if you could do, even if you went this to, one day a week, one
Yep.
day a week, you get 10 yards and that's all the more that you have time for that day. Cause like I said, it's about 10 minutes. You have,
Yeah, that's less
10
than
yards.
2 hours, even with drive time, as long as
Eh,
they're all close together.
yeah. In a month, there's $1,000 extra a month, right? My math is right? On that $100 a
10,
month,
yeah,
10 yards.
yeah,
Yeah. There's $1,000 a month for picking up
10
dog poop.
clients.
10 clients. Now, if you did 10 clients 5 days a week,
Yep.
right? At the $100 a month
You get 5 grand a
is
month.
that's I mean,
That's a
so
living.
simple.
Like
That
five
that
grand a
is.
month. That's a good living.
Yeah. That's, a few months, half a year, you've got a brand new vehicle,
And you can
you know.
scale this. Like if you're at that point where you're booking multiple bookings a day, scaling this gets exponentially easier. And we could talk about that
Yeah.
some more, but that's a single person with very little to no equipment, almost no marketing, and no fancy truck wrap, none of that. That's
Yeah.
just you going out and talking to people to get your first,
Exactly.
to get your first 50 clients. That would cover that, right? That's 50, that's
Yeah.
10 a day, 50 clients to get to that 5,000. No. Is that right? Is
No,
my math right?
yeah, it was 50. It was 10 a day for 5 days. Let's say if you just work weekdays or
Yep.
whatever, that's 50 clients.
I think by the time I got my first 100 clients, I'd be looking to hire people to take on some. At the very least,
Yes.
somebody to answer phone and book clients and do my
Yes.
bookkeeping. Like I would probably hire somebody by the first 100 clients, but 100 clients is a living. Like you could live very
Oh,
well off 50
for
clients.
sure.
So it's
For
it's
sure.
scalable, I think, for part-time, doing it one day a
And
week,
it's exciting. It's exciting
or
when you say when
or
you
doing it
start to
every
look
day.
at those numbers and the potential. Of course, you've got that time. You've got gasoline for your vehicle. You've got
Yeah.
wear and tear and
There's
maintenance on your
expense.
vehicle. That's a piece of equipment that we didn't really count in the beginning to get started. But and
But I
then
would say it's
that area
probably
can grow and grow and grow. Now you're hitting not only your city or just your neighborhood. It starts there
regions.
from your neighborhood to your city to your county to yeah, obviously you're not going to cover your whole state, but if you
A lot of
did
them, a lot of them covered
just
a 90
around,
mile radius.
yeah,
And I
well,
and I
and
think the
those,
way they did that is they covered their neighborhood, then their city, then their county,
yeah,
and then they started taking on other neighborhoods, cities, counties. But they would
yes,
do everybody in this area on a Monday. They do everybody in this area on a Tuesday to
yeah,
reduce the driving and figure out your routes.
yes,
And they do a 90-mile radius around themselves.
or they
Even as a
have
single person, you could still balance that.
other employees, then you hire somebody. Now you're
Yeah.
covering two routes and you're paying that person, now that's starting a legitimate business more so than just a side hustle. But it's a perfect
Well,
side hustle with lots of scalability.
I did see that it's in the beginning days when you're your solo self doing it, it's just you up to your
Yeah.
first 100, clients. Your margins on this business are crazy. They're like 80, 90% margins, even after gas
Yeah.
and expenses. When
Yeah.
you start hiring people, they can get down as low as 30% margin, but it's scalable. It's almost like a mini franchise. Like they're paying their employees, like they find out what UPS is paying their drivers in the area,
Uh-huh.
and they pay them a couple dollars an hour more. They're paying them very
Yeah.
well to keep them around. They don't have to have any experience. They're giving them bonuses if they show up every day without missing a day for a month.
Yeah.
They give them bonuses, and that still comes in at like a 30% margin when
Yeah.
you're hiring your entire staff and you took yourself out of the business.
Yes.
I'll take 30%
And
on that kind of money all day long if I could take myself out of the business.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when you're wanting my thoughts are when you're wanting to get into the employees or hiring somebody as being very well established
Yeah.
with a name in the business, because
Yeah. By
it
that
would
time you
be
would be.
simple for somebody to also start it. Because I'm thinking, you know, in my town we have the college right out here, the branch of Ohio State,
Yep.
and there's probably a lot of college kids that would love to just spend an afternoon, or one day, 2 days, whatever, a week, going around hitting those routes. And but
Scoop
then,
some
you know,
poop and
it's
be
like,
done.
oh wait, I could do that on my own. And but if you were established, once you get established and that name out
Yep.
there, it's easier to and they might not want to, because there is stuff. And I guess we should talk about that with any sort of a business. And I know we were going to talk about this a little bit later, but um if you are starting a legitimate business that's not just that single side hustle and stuff, there are things like insurance. If you're setting up a business entity with your state for, you know,
Yep.
tax ID numbers, LLCs, things of that nature. And those are things, you know, depending on your area, you would want to check into and make sure that you
Now, yeah, yeah.
were
No, you're absolutely
were
right on
compliant.
that. And that is something you have to think about, but don't let that stop you from starting your business. You can go out there and you can make your
Yeah,
first $600 without worrying about any of that stuff.
exactly.
And if you find
And
out after you made your first $600, if you only took on one client, that's 6 months.
yeah,
And if you find out after your first $600, the same for me, then you're not stuck with an insurance bill and a LLC that you have to worry about and all this other
exactly.
garbage. So go
Yes.
make your money first, find out if you're going to stick with it. And if you plan to scale it, then handle that.
But I just, you know, I say that stuff just so that, you know, later on it doesn't come back. Oh, well, you got to have it,
Yep.
you know, because insurances and stuff, you know, if you are working in somebody's yard and
Just a
an
general
accident,
business
something happens,
liability. Yep.
yeah, you break something in their yard, you bust their fence, like that, you don't latch the fence and their dog runs away. You know, there's certain things like that so yeah,
And
but
I
don't
will
let that
say
hold you up.
most most of these, well, I guess we almost have to back up and talk about the actual operation of the business for that to make sense.
Yeah,
When you're doing this business, I mean, you know the basics of it. You go into the backyard with a pooper scooper and a shovel and you scoop it up into a bag and you leave.
yeah,
But in actuality, kind of how it works is people are booking with you, however you want to do it. It's through a call or Facebook ad or whatever.
yeah,
And then you show up, you do the, like, you text them and say, I'll be there at this time. So they have a record when you're going to be there and they can put their dog away, because you don't want to be
yeah.
scooping poop with a St. Bernard chasing you. It's not efficient.
Yes,
So you give them a text and say, I'm coming out at this time. Make sure the dog's locked up. We'll be in and out in probably under 10 minutes.
yeah,
Get there, you do the job, you walk it in like a 3 foot grid back and forth until you have it all picked up. Generally speaking, as far as actual dealing with the waste, what I've found out is they bag up that bag that's in the dust scoop, and then they
yeah.
throw it in another bag so it's double bagged,
Double back.
and they put it into the customer's garbage can.
Yes.
They use
Yeah,
the
throwing it
customer's
away
garbage
right
can.
there. Yeah.
Yep. Now there is an
And
alternative. There is an upcharge that I've seen companies doing, that if you don't want that in your garbage can, we will actually haul it out of here
yeah,
and take it to our garbage can. But that's an upcharge. It costs extra if
yes.
we're going to take it away. So that's an upcharge you can do.
And I've seen some people then that they use, you know, environmentally friendly degradable bags that
Yep.
they'll scoop it into. And so there's different, you know, and some of that might be regulations in your area for getting rid
Yep.
of waste. But in the simplest thing is just that: scoop it into a bag, double bag it, throw it into the customer's uh garbage can that's right there, and you're on your way.
And if you
Um,
ask your city department, that a lot of times they'll tell you, like I looked it up in our area, that's what they recommend you do with pet waste is throw it in a bag, throw it in the garbage, and it goes
yeah,
to the landfill. So that is what the city here recommends. Now, I guess in addition to that, once you've taken the waste out, you've decided it's going to stay here or go there. A lot of the companies I'm seeing that are really successful take a picture of the gate showing it's locked
okay.
and send the text to the customer saying, we're all finished up. Thank you for your business. Here's a picture of the gate to make sure we locked it. That way they can't come back and say, hey, you let my dog out. The gate was open. Then
Yeah.
you cover yourself in case of any insurance claim or anything like that. But that extra step kind of forces yourself and your employees to double check something and to make
Yes.
sure it doesn't happen. So that,
Exactly.
I think that's pretty much the whole process, other than make sure you invoice them and get paid. And there's
Yes.
automated ways to do that as you
And
grow, but
yeah,
in the beginning, just send them an invoice and make sure you collect.
you can do a Venmo, PayPal,
PayPal,
a Stripe, any of these other
Cash App, yeah, any of that.
cash apps that you take. So very easy to get paid.
Yep.
Um,
I
the
know if you're using like a basic version of QuickBooks, you can send them an electronic invoice with a link in it that they could go pay directly through the link to your PayPal.
Oh,
We used to do that all the time in our old business,
yeah,
and
and
that
there
works
there
really well.
is there is software that's actually
There is.
built for this business
Yep.
that I didn't look into, but I've saw some things. So there's probably subscription fees or that to be part of that, but
It
it's for
is.
scheduling, it's for routing, it's for billing, it's for everything that is based completely around pet waste removal.
Yep.
Um,
There's one software in specific, and it runs about $69 a month if you have less than 5 employees. It
yeah,
runs about $69 a month, and it does so much. I mean, they can book through you. It has automatic booking where the customer can come in and fill out the form and book it. It has
yeah,
scheduling. It has route planning to where if you have like 15 appointments, it'll tell you the best route to take to get them all
yes,
done. It has the built-in thing to take the picture and say, send out a message, say we're coming, take a picture saying we're done. Here's the gate. Like a lot of that is
yeah,
built into the software. It's called Sweep and Go is the name of the
okay,
software. And I think that's something, if I was going to do it, that's something I would probably look into as soon as I had my first 10 customers. Because then
yeah,
one customer is going to pay for that. $100 a month is going to more than pay for it. So my one customer would pay for it, and I'd have 9 paying customers.
yeah.
So once I hit 10 customers and I knew I was going to stick with it, I'd look into Sweep and Go because that seems to be kind of the industry leader for the software
Yeah.
there.
It is as simple though as making some sort of like a little spreadsheet or something on
Yeah.
your phone that you can keep track of those in the very beginning
Just
to
Google Calendar.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It just I'm excited about this idea. Um
Yeah,
just
I love the
I would
idea.
love to
Like
see.
I was so
It
tempted
seems
to
so
go do
simple.
this. Like myself. That's the danger of doing episodes like that. Because once I've dissected the business to this point,
Yeah.
the
Corey's ready to
biggest
go.
aching question in my head is why are you not making the call? Why are you
Yeah.
not taking that step? Because it's all done from start to
And
finish. I know the tools I need. I know the equipment I need. I know how much money I need. I know how to get my first client. All I got to do is answer a Facebook post that's already there from yesterday.
yes.
Like I could go get my first client, and I know that would lead to more clients. And I don't even have to have a business name. I'm just Corey the crap getter. Like I don't need anything.
or crap giver, one of the two, one of the two.
Well,
Well, and this something like this, and I love this deep dive that we're doing, and that we're going to continue to kind of do this with different things, and have guests on where we're doing the kind of the research part live with
bring
somebody
some
that's
more
actually
knowledge.
doing
Yeah.
that's doing these sorts of things. But we've talked in previous episodes where I'm an overthinker, and I try to get all of the knowledge before I would start something. And in this, with very, very little research on this sort of a job, if I wanted to do that, it's like I feel like I'm done thinking about it. I could go do this tomorrow.
Yep.
If it weren't dark out right now, I could go scoop some
And
poop right now.
we said we'd talk about marketing later. And the reason we put it
Yeah,
clear at the end here and we haven't really addressed it is because it's so unimportant to starting because you can get your
yeah,
first 10 customers without marketing. If you
exactly.
decide to grow this and move into the marketing, we can discuss it a little now. What I have found to be the most effective out of everybody from the videos I've seen and the little bit of research I did is
Uh-huh.
simply a picture of you in front of a truck with a decal on it that says pet waste removal or whatever yours says, the name of your
Yeah,
company. That just says we do pet waste removal. Give us a call or click this link and then run that Facebook ad to your regional area where you're serving.
yes,
And that's it. Like a picture of you or your staff in front of your truck saying we do pet waste removal. Like
yeah,
it's that simple because you don't have to convince people. You don't have to sell this product or this service.
yeah,
It's already they know they
exactly.
want it. They're just looking for somebody to do it. So
Yeah,
just running a simple Facebook post in your area. And the reason I say in front of the truck or something is few of the videos mentioned that's their best performing ad out of everything they do for
yeah,
marketing is just a picture of their staff in front of the truck saying we do pet waste removal and just run the
yeah.
ad.
And then when that truck's sitting in front of somebody's house and somebody else drives by and they go, oh, hey, wait, these guys, or your truck's sitting in Walmart parking lot or something like that, people are going to see that. Oh, I'm going
That's
to call that number. I'd like to have, somebody come over. But again, that's way down the
It is,
line.
and I think that's an important step because if you decide to scale it and grow it past that 200 customer mark,
Yeah,
I think that's when you really need to start thinking about what your trucks look like. I think that's when
yeah,
you need to really worry about getting those, make sure your branding is really solid and you have a good brand. Now, the truck wraps, I know people were just buying old beat up trucks and like farm trucks and stuff, and they were having them
yeah,
wrapped, which works
yeah,
perfectly well because you can take a really ugly truck and do a wrap on it and make it
yeah,
look perfect. So they were just taking older trucks and they were having them wrapped, and that was it. And the wraps cost about $4,000 for a standard pickup.
yeah.
So, but you
That,
want to be established before you go spend that kind of
oh
money.
yeah,
In the
yeah.
meantime,
It's
if you're driving your pickup, you can get the decals to put on it. You get the magnets, you can get the vinyl decals, you can put them on yourself,
exactly.
and it's an inexpensive way to brand like that.
Yeah, yeah, the marketing, and that's what kind of any sort of business that once you get going, it's not something that you have to market first. You can market it
No.
later. Now, if you were opening up a restaurant, definitely you're going to need to get that marketing and stuff out there
Yep.
first. But this sort of a side hustle that can be full time very quickly,
Well,
a,
and I'll tell you
a
what,
business.
there's nothing that sells your business as well as somebody walking out on a nice warm spring day with their bare toes and stepping in their dog's crap. They're going to be looking for your service. So again, you don't have to
Yes,
sell this. I think that the
exactly.
wraps and the pickups really come into play when you start having employees and you can't
Yeah,
have everybody driving your truck. You need to go different directions. That should be the first time you look at getting a vehicle and getting it wrapped. And
yeah.
then from that day on, that truck is a walking billboard. And when people see it, they're like, man, we need that.
You know,
So even then, the business sells itself.
when we were talking, scalability, there's the scalability of just growing and getting more going outside your neighborhood and your county and getting
Yep.
other employees and stuff and some of that marketing with the trucks. But I was seeing a lot of other interesting side stuff that goes along with this that some of the
Yep.
companies were doing. There was companies that were doing cat litter boxes, like replaceable. Like basically, they come in, they take your cat litter box that's
Yep.
full of all the stuff, they give you just a new, fresh, clean one. They take that off, they're disposing of it, they're cleaning it out, they're disinfecting it, and so that's like a weekly or a monthly or you know how many ever time. I don't know. I don't have a cat. I don't know how often you have to change a box. I don't know if
More
that's
than
a
weekly or monthly.
every day. Yeah. So, but that was one thing. I saw some people that were one of the services that they would offer is some people that have just a nice, perfect manicured green lawns and they want to keep it that way. And maybe the dog urine or the dog poop or whatever
Yellows it.
discolors, yellows it, whatever. They have the spray paint stuff, the special yard spray
I
paint
never even
stuff
thought of
where
that
they
one.
can
That's a good one.
keep the yard if your yard is spotted, hey, for a little
And
bit
they
of an
make grass
upcharge.
paint.
What
They
yeah,
do
and
make
that's what it
like
is.
grass paint that's dog safe and it's safe for the yard. Yep.
And I saw another thing that was an upcharge where people were spraying, like when they live in neighborhoods and people walk their dogs, what they do is they would spray like the front portion of your yard with uh, a chemical or something like that that would keep other dogs from wanting when your people are walking their dogs, how
Okay.
they'll come and poop in your yard. Some people are really good about cleaning it up in a bag, and other people are just like,
So
oh, they
pet
pooped in that
repellent.
guy's yard. We're just going to keep going. Yeah. So it's like a dog is not going to want to, use the
I
bathroom in
have
that
seen
yard.
I
And
have
so
seen the
plenty of
upcharge
upcycled
for
things.
deodorizing. Like when
Yes.
you scoop up the poop, you shake out some deodorizer, like a lime powder or something, where it
Yeah.
was. So you're like deodorizing anywhere it was. I even saw one company that offered pet check-ins. So when you come and do it, you actually go and check on their pet if they're on vacation or something, and their dogs are at home. They
Okay.
schedule pet check-ins, so you come 2-3 times a day or whatever and check on the pets. So it's really like there's so
The,
much that you could include in it.
yeah. After a while, but I mean, it it's this it's just the simplest thing. It's a little rake and a scoop can turn into six figures quickly, easily. We were doing some of the math there, just the numbers that we're seeing.
Honestly,
If you did,
if I had the poop scooping business, I have 10 acres out here. My next natural step would be to build kennels and offer kenneling, like climate controlled kennels
you
out
could do
here,
that.
because I'll
Yeah.
know all the dog owners. We also offer
Exactly.
kenneling when you're on vacation. Like
Yeah.
there's a million ways to branch it out, but the business as itself at its core is so simple. Like,
So, I think those numbers at that $100 a month,
yep.
that is kind of
And some
national
will be
average. Of
lower,
course,
some will be
it's going to
higher.
be
Yep.
different in your areas for sure. These are just the general numbers that we're seeing. Is 10 clients 1 day a week
It's $1,000
is an
a
extra
month
$1,000 for in the month. I think everybody probably
for
can
one
come
day
up,
a week.
especially for and and if you can get that down to when it's in a couple of hours, if that might even be somebody, if you have a regular 9 to 5 job, you could come home after work, do it in the evenings, do it
Yep.
in the mornings, do it whatever your schedule permits. And I'm excited. I just think that it's a I again, from when Corey brought this up to me, I'm like, really? Okay, we're gonna do this, to doing just a minimal amount of research. It's
I got
amazing,
excited
and that
about it.
people pay for it. Yeah,
I got excited about it about 10 minutes into researching it. I was like, why doesn't everybody do this? And I know
yeah,
why. I know why everybody doesn't do it. One, it's yucky. It's dog poop, whatever.
yeah,
But it's like every other business in the world. This is a business where you actually have to get off the couch and you have to go do something. You have to actually
yes,
do the work. But it's not, nobody's asking you to go move logs on a lumber truck. I mean,
yeah,
it's a pooper scooper and a rake, for crying out loud. Like, anybody
yes,
can do this. Even if you could wheel out there in a wheelchair and scrape up dog poop.
yeah,
It's not a difficult job to do. It's not physically or mentally demanding, but people
yeah.
won't they won't do the work. If you
Well,
hand this
and
business model to 100 people, one of
yeah,
them might go do the work. And that's the nature of every business.
yeah. Well, and it's one of those service businesses, though, that the reason that you're the one that's out there is because whoever owns the dog is, number one, either too busy or they don't want to do the work. They don't want to get
And
up off the couch and not scroll
based on the
TikTok.
busy
And
season, they don't want to go outside when it's cold. It's
yeah.
not comfortable.
So, okay, let's talk about that. So let's say we were going to do this. What are our pros and cons if we were going to do it? You were just saying, if you were going to start this tomorrow, what would be some of your pros to starting a business like this personally?
For me personally, my first pro is that it's a marketing light business. You don't have to be a marketer.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much every business that you go into, the hardest thing in business is to get a customer. And in this business, the customers are trying to get you. It's different. It's a very marketing light business. So
Yeah.
you could get customers. I'm convinced I could go to any city in the country and I could have a customer doing this in 24 hours, one day.
Yeah.
And I think I would
Agreed.
take that Pepsi challenge in any city.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that you could go out, because I have thoughts about how I would do that, immediately to make it the easiest. Well, let's say, so some pros on my end, that easy startup. There's not a lot to actually getting started and getting that, and the low cost. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of. I have the equipment here at my house
I have
right
2
now.
dogs. I have all the equipment.
Yeah, I have no dogs, but I have the small plastic rake. I have, even if I had to use just like a regular dustpan sort of thing where I'm bending over a little bit,
Yeah.
you put it in a 5-gallon bucket. I have that. I don't have to buy the special scoop thing. That makes it easier, makes it quicker, makes it faster, but I don't have to buy that.
You buy it after the
probably
first couple
got some
customers.
disinfectant, in the other room, that I wouldn't even have to go buy that. I could do the job right now. And
Well, here's a fun
there's-
fact, an insider tip
Yeah.
for you if you start doing this. When you go out there and you're getting your customers, the difference between a small dog and a large dog, I would have thought small dogs would be easier. They're not. If you're cleaning up after small dogs, it's more difficult than big dogs. Big dogs leave big piles. They're easy to rake up. Small dogs leave small turds, and they get down in the grass and they're harder to get off the lawn. So that's a pro
Okay.
tip from an insider.
There you
Not
go.
me. I learned that.
That's and I'm thinking too, if I were going to go out today, I'm going to think of those neighborhoods. The number one, like we talked about, I'm just going to look on my local Facebook groups and stuff, see if anybody's requesting the service like you happen to see. But I'm going to go to those housing developments and stuff and go around, see people walking their dogs. I see people constantly when I'm out at yard sales and stuff
Yep.
like that. I see people with walking their dogs, walking my actual neighborhood. We don't have a sidewalk in front of my house, but you go to my sister's neighborhood, you just sit there for 5 minutes and somebody's walking by with a dog. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to the dog parks. A lot of like apartment complexes and stuff will have like a little
Yep.
dog area. Their maintenance crew
They're
usually
property
takes care of
managers.
that.
Yep.
But they're probably, maybe they're a property management company that, travels around to the different things. It's not hired by them. And they would look for a service that, hey, somebody else can take care of the shitty job.
Yeah.
But so some cons though. What are some reasons you wouldn't want to start this or you wouldn't want to do it?
I guess for me, it'd be the same with any service business. And that is in the beginning, you're trading your time for money. And I know I've mentioned on another episode, I measure my wealth in time. How much free time do I have? But if you're going to build a business and you're going to get to the point where you're buying your time back, you have to trade your time for money in the beginning. You have to spend the time. So the con for me is you're trading your time for money again in the beginning. Now, I do think this is a business that within 1 year, you could scale it past that. I think within 1 year, you could be hiring people and bringing your time back in.
Yeah.
So that is a con, is trading your time for money. But if you're going to build a business of any kind and you think you're not going to trade your time for money, I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh yeah. And that was one of my cons that I wrote down, is that commitment of a schedule and the time that it takes, because Corey, I'm unemployed for a living. And
if you
I
start
have some of those freedoms in the things that I do right now. I have a lot more freedoms than once you start something and you put somebody on a schedule, a monthly, you're going to come once a week for a month, you're committed to that.
Especially if you're telling them
something,
I'm going to be here every Wednesday at 3:00.
And you take that,
then you got to be that
money from them. And that's how any business is built, of being there when the customer needs you. That's the service thing. But right now, for me, one of the reasons that I wouldn't want to start it is it's winter. Although
that's the best time.
That is the best, most lucrative time, from what you were seeing with your research.
Like this moment right now is the time to start this business in the Midwest where we are.
I'm not a winter guy. I don't want to go out to somebody else's yard and then traipse through the snow to the backyard in my boots and pick up. That's me.
So if it's a 6 and 7 figure business, I'll buy Carhartts. Like, I'll go outside. I'm not scared of the cold that much.
But when I see those numbers, it is I could probably overcome the winter because I got to go outside, anyway. But not being.
But you're only outside for like at the most that they're talking. They spend an average of 8 to 10 minutes per yard.
Yeah.
So you're in a heated truck driving from place to place. You get out for 8 to 10 minutes and keep yourself warm. You could jog and scoop. That'd keep you warm.
Okay, I'm going to write that down as another con, jogging, if that was part of the requirements. So, Corey, I think we've kind of covered this. I'm sure that people have lots of questions, and throw them down in the comments. Check out the links if this is an interesting business opportunity, or even just a side hustle opportunity. There are some links. We just thought for convenience to show some of the equipment. And
I'm curious to know if you're listening to this, even if you're listening to this a year from now, if you've watched the videos and you've seen the numbers and you've seen the ease of access and the low entry costs for equipment and everything else.
Yeah.
And how easy it is to get those first couple of customers. If you're planning on moving ahead with this, if this is like, oh, that's interesting, I'm gonna go try it, let us know in the comments. And let us know how that first couple of customers goes, because I do think this is going to be a viable business model for everywhere, because more and more every year, people don't want to leave the comfort of their couch. Like I said, everybody wants to be a TikTok star and make their money online. And that's great. But so there is a service class, and that service class is going to be the billionaires in the next 10 years, because nobody wants to do the work anymore.
Yes.
And this is such an easy way to get into that.
Which is so much, like with all of the DoorDashes and the Uber Eats and all of that stuff, people don't even want to go out to pick up food or get their groceries or do whatever. No. So this is something that you can do. I'm excited. I think it's neat. I'd love to see if somebody does try this and let us know.
I'm still trying
Corey,
to
I
talk
love
myself
this.
out of trying this.
I loved this deep dive format. I think this was
Let
cool.
us know what you guys think of this
It was
format.
a little bit silly of a thing to start with, like say when Corey brought it to me, but I'm excited. It is a viable opportunity that's exciting, that's easy, that's quick, that's cheap to start, and very
Real
can
deal.
be very lucrative. Well, one of the videos when you first told me was somebody was making $8.5 million a year
Yeah.
on pet waste removal. Now they're trucks and fleets and employees,
Yeah,
and
they've
they
expanded
they
nationally.
do all kinds of extended services and stuff with the lawn care and all of this stuff. But they started with a rake and a scoop and a bucket,
And they're
a
still
rake and a
using a rake
bucket.
and a scoop. The
And
thing is,
it's just
they
amazing.
started with 1 yard, and it was
Yeah.
probably in their own neighborhood.
Yes, it's
And it went
incredible,
quick.
the opportunity. So if you enjoyed this, let us know in the comments. If there's an industry or something maybe that you've been thinking about it that you want us to do a deep dive on,
Yeah.
throw that in the comments as well.
I love
and
this
we'll
kind of
we'll
stuff.
take a look, because it's, we don't know. We love to learn too, and we want
Stay
to know
tuned
what
next
these
week.
different
We're going to look at the
opportunities
hot
are.
dog cart.
Oh, where are we doing hot dog carts next week?
No, I don't know. We could.
So, Corey, great show. I enjoyed it. Hopefully everybody did too. And we will catch you next week on Unemployed for a Living.